Welcome to a deep dive
Oh, cool.
into the life and work of a man whose name is synonymous with
Sounds good.
one of the most revolutionary ideas in history, Charles Darwin.
Oh, wow.
We've got excerpts from a biography of Darwin.
Okay.
And believe me, this isn't just your typical science story.
Oh.
We're about to uncover a journey of adventure,
Yeah.
intellectual struggle, and ultimately a theory that changed how we view life itself.
What's striking about Darwin is that
Okay.
his path to scientific breakthrough wasn't a straight line.
Oh,
It's a story filled with twists and turns from
yeah.
his privileged yet intellectually stimulating upbringing
Interesting.
to a globe-trotting voyage that sparked his curiosity
I see.
and challenged his assumptions.
All right, let's set the stage.
Okay.
Darwin wasn't exactly roughing it in his early years.
No.
He was born into a wealthy family of doctors and financiers. But here's the interesting part. They were staunch abolitionists. Both his grandfathers were prominent figures in the movement to end slavery.
Wow.
How do you think that background might have shaped him?
It's crucial to consider the intellectual and moral environment
Right.
Darwin grew up in.
Yeah.
His family wasn't just wealthy, they were deeply engaged
Mm-hmm.
in the most pressing social issue of their time.
Uh-huh.
This likely influenced Darwin's own views
Okay.
on humanity and the interconnectedness of all living things,
Interesting.
ideas that would later become central to his work.
It makes you wonder if those early exposures
Yeah.
to social justice issues planted seeds of questioning the status quo.
I see.
Even as a kid, Darwin was a natural-born collector, fascinated by beetles and all sorts of specimens.
Oh, wow.
But formal medical studies, not so much.
Really?
Apparently, he found surgery a bit too much to stomach.
He much preferred exploring nature and
Yeah.
even learning taxidermy from a freed black slave named John Edmonston.
Wow.
Edmonston had traveled through the rainforests of South America.
Oh, cool. With a renowned naturalist.
Great.
And his stories ignited a passion for scientific observation in young Darwin.
That's fascinating.
It's a reminder that mentors and inspiration can come from unexpected places.
You never know where that spark will come from, right?
Exactly.
So Darwin eventually lands at Cambridge.
Okay.
And while he may have been more enthusiastic about writing and shooting than hitting the books initially, a turning point came when he connected with Professor John Stevens Henslow, a botany expert.
I see.
Henslow became his mentor, opening doors to a network of parson naturalists,
Okay.
scientists who viewed their work as a form of religious study.
This is a vital point.
Okay.
Science and religion weren't always seen as separate spheres,
Right.
especially in Darwin's time.
Yeah.
Many naturalists believed that studying the natural world was a way to understand God's creation.
Uh-huh.
It's crucial to keep this context in mind, to fully grasp the revolutionary nature of Darwin's later work,
Yeah.
which would challenge those very assumptions.
Yep.
It's fascinating how these seemingly separate domains
Yeah.
were so intertwined back then.
Right.
And speaking of intertwined,
Okay.
Darwin's life takes another turn with a 5-year expedition aboard the HMS Beagle.
Oh, wow.
Here he is, the ship's naturalist, sailing around the globe.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like a dream come true for someone
Right.
so fascinated by the natural world.
This voyage was absolutely pivotal for Darwin.
Really?
He encountered a breathtaking range of life,
Yeah.
from the vibrant rainforests of Brazil to the stark landscapes of Patagonia.
Oh, wow.
He witnessed the horrors of slavery firsthand,
Oh,
marveled at fossils of extinct giants,
wow.
and even contemplated the shared origins of humanity
Right.
while observing indigenous people in Tierra del Fuego.
That's amazing.
Each experience added another layer
Uh-huh.
to his understanding of the natural world.
And of course, there's the Galapagos Islands,
Oh, yeah.
a place that has become almost synonymous
Right.
with Darwin's theory of evolution. What was it about these islands?
Yeah, had such a profound impact on his thinking.
The Galapagos were like a living laboratory for Darwin.
Interesting.
He observed finches and tortoises on different islands
Okay.
with distinct features perfectly suited to their specific environments.
I see.
It was as if nature was conducting its own experiments,
Oh,
showcasing the subtle variations within species
right.
and hinting at how those differences could lead to new forms over time.
It's as if the islands provided a condensed, accelerated view of evolution in action.
Exactly.
All this observation and exploration must have been churning in Darwin's mind,
Uh-huh.
pushing him to find an explanation
Right.
for the patterns he was witnessing.
Back in England, he began piecing it all together.
Okay.
He drew inspiration from Thomas Malthus's work on population growth and the concept of a struggle for existence.
I see.
Malthus argued that population growth would always outstrip resources,
Right.
leading to competition.
Okay.
Darwin applied this idea to the natural world. Interesting.
He realized that within any population, there's inherent variation.
Yeah.
And some individuals are better equipped to survive and reproduce,
Right.
passing on those advantageous traits. This ongoing process of selection, driven by the struggle for resources,
I see.
became the core of his theory of natural selection.
It's amazing how a concept from economics,
Yeah.
the study of scarcity and competition, could have such a profound impact on biology.
Right.
It seems like this voyage, coupled with these intellectual influences, really set the stage for Darwin's groundbreaking work.
Absolutely.
But I have a feeling his journey was far from over.
You're absolutely right. We've only just scratched the surface of Darwin's story. There's so much more to uncover.
Right.
About his development of the theory of natural selection, the personal challenges he faced, and the lasting impact of his work.
All right.
Yeah. So we've got Darwin back in England, brimming with observations and
Yes.
grappling with revolutionary ideas. Yeah.
But, developing a theory as groundbreaking as natural selection wasn't a walk in the park. It took years of meticulous research,
Okay.
careful observation,
Right.
and let's be honest, a fair amount of wrestling with his own doubts.
I can only imagine the internal struggle, especially in that era.
Yeah.
Didn't he also face some pretty serious personal challenges on top of that?
Darwin battled chronic illness throughout his life.
Really?
The exact nature of his ailment remains a mystery,
Oh, wow.
but it caused him intense pain
I see.
and periods of debilitating fatigue.
Wow.
Can you imagine trying to revolutionize scientific thought
Right.
while dealing with such a burden? It speaks volumes about his resilience and dedication.
That puts his accomplishments into a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
But thankfully, he wasn't alone in this journey.
Right.
He had the unwavering support of his wife, Emma Wedgwood.
Absolutely. Their marriage is a fascinating aspect of Darwin's story.
Oh.
They had 10 children together.
And Emma was his intellectual companion and emotional anchor.
Okay.
What's remarkable is that she was deeply religious.
Uh-huh.
And even though Darwin's ideas challenged the religious beliefs of their time,
Right.
their relationship remained strong and supportive.
It's heartwarming to hear that amidst the scientific turmoil,
Yeah.
he had such a loving and understanding partner.
Yeah.
It seems like those years of research and reflection finally culminated in the publication that changed the course of scientific history
Right.
on the origin of species.
This book was a bombshell.
Really?
It presented a meticulously crafted argument for evolution by natural selection, backed by a mountain of evidence.
Okay.
From the fossil record to the intricate adaptations of plants and animals,
I see.
Darwin held nothing back,
Oh?
carefully laying out his observations and deductions, challenging the prevailing view of life's origins.
And how did the world react to this earth-shattering theory?
The response was a mix of awe, excitement, and fierce opposition. Some scientists embraced it as a brilliant breakthrough,
Right.
while others, especially within the religious establishment, vehemently rejected it.
Oh.
There were fiery debates, satirical cartoons mocking Darwin,
Really?
and even accusations of heresy. It was a true clash of worldviews.
I bet those debates were intense.
Yeah.
Were there any specific events that stand out as particularly significant in this clash of ideas?
One of the most famous confrontations was the legendary Oxford evolution debate in 1860.
Correct.
Picture this. The Bishop of Oxford,
Right.
a figure of immense religious authority,
Yeah.
facing off against Thomas Huxley,
Okay.
a staunch defender of Darwin,
Oh.
and what he called Darwin's bulldog.
Wow.
It was a battle of intellect and ideology, with Huxley famously declaring he would rather be descended from an ape
Oh.
than a man who misuses his intellect.
That's quite the statement.
Yeah.
It sounds like this debate captured the essence of the struggle
Right.
between traditional beliefs and emerging scientific thought.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Huxley's words became a rallying cry
Yeah.
for those who saw Darwin's theory as a beacon of reason and progress.
I see.
But the controversy surrounding Darwin's work
Right.
didn't stop him from exploring further. He continued to publish prolifically,
Really?
delving into even more controversial areas.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What other scientific frontiers did he tackle?
In 1871, he published The Descent of Man and Selection in Relation to Sex,
Okay.
which directly challenged the prevailing view
Right.
that humans were somehow separate from the animal kingdom.
No.
He meticulously presented anatomical, embryological, and behavioral evidence,
Wow.
arguing that we share a common ancestor with apes.
So he laid the groundwork for our understanding of human evolution.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop there, right?
Right.
I remember you mentioned something about sexual selection.
Ah, yes, in that same book.
Okay.
Darwin introduced the concept of sexual selection, which explains the evolution of traits
Right.
that might not directly enhance survival, but rather increase an individual's chances of attracting a mate and reproducing.
Interesting.
Think of the peacock's flamboyant tail feathers.
Yeah.
They're not exactly helpful for camouflage, are they?
So those elaborate displays are all about impressing potential mates.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating concept.
It is. Darwin argued that these seemingly impractical traits could evolve because they signal qualities.
Okay.
Like good health or strong genes,
I see.
making individuals more attractive to potential mates.
Right.
This ensures that the best genes are passed on,
Yeah.
even if those traits don't necessarily aid in survival directly.
It's amazing how these intricate connections in the natural world work.
It is.
But I have a feeling this book, The Descent of Man,
Yeah,
didn't go over well with everyone, especially in Victorian society.
you're right. Darwin addressed sensitive topics,
Oh.
including racial differences, arguing that
Right.
despite variations, humanity is fundamentally one species.
Hmm.
He even explored the evolution of emotions, suggesting our feelings
Right.
have a biological basis shaped by our evolutionary past.
Wow.
These ideas pushed boundaries and challenged deeply held beliefs
Yeah.
about human nature and our place in the world.
It's remarkable how Darwin tackled such complex and controversial issues,
Yeah.
constantly pushing the boundaries of knowledge
Right.
and challenging the status quo.
And his exploration didn't end there.
Really?
He was a true scientific explorer, delving into a wide array of topics
Wow.
with insatiable curiosity.
So what other fascinating avenues did Darwin's scientific curiosity lead him to explore?
One area that might surprise you is his work on emotions.
Oh.
In his book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals,
Okay.
published in 1872,
Mm-hmm.
Darwin argued that emotions like physical traits
I see.
have evolved over time.
Interesting.
He meticulously observed and documented the facial expressions and bodily reactions
Right.
associated with various emotions in both humans and animals.
So he was essentially saying that a dog wagging its tail or a cat hissing.
Exactly.
Right.
Might be expressing emotions similar to what humans feel.
It's fascinating.
Darwin saw a continuity between the emotional lives of humans and other animals, believing that emotions served adaptive purposes,
Right.
helping our ancestors survive and reproduce.
Yeah.
For instance, fear would have alerted them to danger,
Okay.
while love and affection would have fostered social bonds
I see.
necessary for survival and group cohesion.
I've never thought about emotions in that way before.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to consider that our feelings, something so deeply personal,
Right.
could be shaped by evolutionary forces that have been at play for millennia.
Mm.
But I understand Darwin's curiosity wasn't limited to grand theories and complex emotions.
Right.
He was also interested in the seemingly mundane aspects of nature, right?
Absolutely. He was fascinated by all aspects of the natural world, even the seemingly insignificant. Take, for instance, his last major work, The Formation of Vegetable Mold Through the Actions of Worms.
Oh, wow.
Where he meticulously studied the humble earthworm.
A whole book dedicated to earthworms.
Yeah.
That's unexpected. What could be so captivating about those little creatures?
Darwin was captivated by the profound impact
Really?
earthworms have on soil fertility.
Interesting.
He meticulously observed their behavior, burrowing habits, and their role in breaking down organic matter, enriching the soil.
Okay.
He saw these tiny creatures as essential players in the grand ecosystem,
Right.
vital for the health of the planet.
It's a reminder that every creature, no matter how small
Yeah,
or seemingly insignificant, plays a role in the intricate web of life.
right.
Darwin's attention to these details speaks volumes about his deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all living things.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the grandeur of Darwin's theories and groundbreaking discoveries,
Yeah.
but we shouldn't forget that he was also a man who experienced the full spectrum of human emotions and challenges.
Right. He wasn't just a scientific mind.
Yeah.
He was a husband, a father, and a human being grappling with personal joys and sorrows.
Exact.
Tell me more about this side of Darwin.
Darwin was known for his gentle demeanor,
Okay.
his love of nature, and his deep affection for his family.
I see.
He cherished his time at home, finding solace in the simple routines of family life.
Yeah.
But his life wasn't without its share of profound heartbreak.
I know he suffered from chronic illness.
Yeah.
But were there other personal hardships he had to endure?
Tragically, Darwin and Emma lost 3 of their children.
Oh, no.
Each death was a devastating blow.
Wow.
Particularly the loss of their beloved daughter, Annie.
Well,
These experiences deeply affected him,
I see.
adding another layer of complexity to his life.
It's a poignant reminder that even brilliant minds who change the world
Yeah.
are still human, vulnerable to the same pains and sorrows we all face. It adds a whole new dimension to his story, reminding us that scientific progress often arises from a mix of intellectual passion, personal struggles, and the drive to find meaning in the face of adversity.
Exactly. Darwin's journey reminds us that behind every groundbreaking discovery lies a human being with a unique story, a tapestry woven with triumphs and tribulations.
We've explored Darwin's journey, his revolutionary theory, his struggles, and his triumphs. But I'm curious about something. We've talked about the immediate impact on the origin of species, but how did his ideas continue to evolve and shape scientific thought in the long run? It's not like science just stops with one publication, right?
You're absolutely right. Darwin's theory, like any scientific theory, wasn't a static endpoint, but a dynamic starting point.
Okay.
It sparked a cascade of new research and ideas, leading to what we call the evolution of Darwinism itself.
Okay, I'm all ears. What exactly do you mean by the evolution of Darwinism? Did his theories change drastically after he published them?
It's not so much about drastic changes, but more about refinement and integration with new discoveries.
I see.
You see, Darwin didn't have all the answers.
Right.
Particularly when it came to the mechanisms of inheritance.
Okay.
He knew traits were passed down, but the exact how was a bit of a mystery during his time. That's where genetics entered the picture.
Right, genetics, the science of genes and heredity.
Exactly.
But wasn't there a different theory of inheritance popular during Darwin's time?
Yes. It was called blending inheritance. Imagine mixing paint colors. They blend together to create a new shade. Blending inheritance proposed that offspring inherited a mix of their parents' traits, which would eventually lead to a blending of variations. This didn't quite fit with Darwin's theory.
I see.
Because natural selection needs variation to act upon. If everything just blends together, those advantageous traits would get diluted over time.
That makes sense. So how did genetics solve this dilemma?
Enter Gregor Mendel, a monk who was quietly experimenting with pea plants in his garden.
Mendel and his famous pea plants.
Exactly.
What did he discover that was so revolutionary?
Mendel's experiments showed that traits are passed down as discrete units, what we now call genes. These genes don't blend, they maintain their distinct identities, allowing for variations to persist across generations. This provided the missing mechanism for Darwin's theory.
Interesting.
It explained how advantageous traits could be passed down intact, giving natural selection something to work with.
So Mendel's peas and Darwin's finches finally joined forces.
Exactly. The fusion of Darwinian evolution with Mendelian genetics gave rise to what we now call the modern synthesis, a unified theory of evolution that emerged in the mid-20th century.
So the modern synthesis became the updated, more comprehensive version of Darwin's theory.
You got it. The modern synthesis incorporated not only genetics, but also discoveries in paleontology, developmental biology, and other fields.
Wow.
Solidifying Darwin's ideas and weaving them into the very fabric of modern biology. It provided an even stronger scientific foundation for evolution by natural selection.
This highlights how science is a constantly evolving process. We build upon the work of those who came before us, adding new layers of understanding to the foundation they laid. But Darwin's ideas didn't just stay confined to the lab, did they?
Absolutely not. Darwin's theories had a profound impact that extended far beyond the scientific community.
Oh, wow.
They rippled outward, influencing social thought, philosophy, religion, and even how we view ourselves as human beings.
Okay, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
How did Darwin's work change the way people viewed the world and their place in it?
Well, for starters, it challenged the long-held belief that humans occupied a privileged position at the pinnacle of creation.
Right.
Separate from and superior to other life forms, Darwin's theory placed us firmly within the web of life, connected to all other organisms through a shared evolutionary history. We weren't the exception. We were part of the grand narrative of life on Earth.
That must have been a humbling realization for many. It's no longer man versus nature, but rather man as part of nature.
Exactly. And it shifted the focus from a static view of the world to a dynamic one. If life itself was constantly evolving, adapting to changing environments,
I see.
then so too could societies and cultures evolve and progress. This sparked new ways of thinking about social issues, ethical questions, and the human condition itself.
That makes sense. Change adaptation. These became key concepts, not only in biology, but in understanding human society as well. But I imagine not everyone embraced these ideas with open arms.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Darwin's theories challenged religious doctrines, sparked ethical debates, and even fueled social and political movements.
Really?
Some embraced his ideas as liberating, while others condemned them as dangerous and heretical.
Can you give me an example of how these debates played out in the real world?
One example is the concept of survival of the fittest. Some, particularly those with a penchant for social hierarchies, twisted this scientific concept to justify social inequality.
Oh.
They argued that the wealthy and powerful were inherently superior, a misinterpretation of Darwinism known as social Darwinism.
Yikes. So they took a scientific theory about the natural world and applied it to justify social hierarchies and power structures. It seems like quite a leap and a dangerous one at that.
It is. And it's important to emphasize that Darwin never intended for his theory to be used this way. He was a scientist seeking to explain the diversity of life, not justify social inequality.
Right.
But unfortunately, these distortions and misapplications of his work have persisted, often serving as a convenient cloak for those seeking to rationalize discrimination and oppression.
It's a cautionary tale, isn't it?
Oh.
Science can be a powerful tool, but it can also be misinterpreted and misused to serve agendas that have nothing to do with the pursuit of knowledge. But amidst all the controversies and debates, Darwin's ideas also sparked positive changes.
Absolutely. The emphasis on adaptation and change fueled progressive movements that sought to improve society.
Wow.
Reformers saw in Darwin's work a validation of the idea that societies like species could evolve and progress over time,
Okay.
shedding outdated practices and embracing new ideas.
So in a way, Darwin's ideas provided a framework for understanding not only biological change, but also social change. It's about recognizing the potential for positive transformation.
That's a great way to put it. His work fostered a more dynamic view of the world, one that embraced change as an inherent part of life, and this had ripple effects far beyond the realm of science.
It's incredible how one man's work could have such a far-reaching impact, influencing not just scientific disciplines, but also how we view society, ethics, and even the meaning of life itself.
Darwin's influence is truly immeasurable. He revolutionized biology, inspired new fields of study, and challenged us to reconsider our place in the grand scheme of things. His work continues to spark debate, inspire new discoveries, and shape our understanding of the world around us.
I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by the sheer scope of his work and the depth of its impact. It's more than just the theory of evolution. It's a whole new way of seeing the world.
It is, and it's a way of seeing the world that continues to evolve as we learn more about the intricacies of life and the vastness of the universe. Darwin's work reminds us that knowledge is a journey, not a destination.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Charles Darwin, what are the key takeaways you hope our listeners will carry with them?
I think one of the most important things to remember is that Darwin showed us that even the most complex and beautiful life forms arose from simple beginnings through gradual change over vast periods of time. It's a story of interconnectedness, adaptation, and the incredible power of natural processes to shape the world around us.
It's a humbling and awe-inspiring perspective. It makes you appreciate the intricate processes that have shaped life on Earth, including our own existence.
Exactly. And it also highlights the importance of adaptation and resilience. Life is constantly changing, and those who can adapt and evolve have the best chance of thriving. It's not just about survival of the fittest, it's about survival of the most adaptable.
That's a powerful message. It encourages us to embrace challenges, to be open to new ideas, and to never stop learning and growing.
That's the spirit. Darwin's work reminds us that life is a journey of discovery, a constant process of adaptation and growth. Who knows what amazing discoveries await us as we continue to explore the world through the lens of evolution, carrying Darwin's legacy of curiosity and inquiry with us.
Well, I can say with certainty that this deep dive into Darwin's world has been an eye-opening experience. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on life science and even myself.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's a whole universe of knowledge out there waiting to be explored. So keep asking questions, keep challenging assumptions, and keep evolving.
What a perfect way to end our exploration of Darwin's legacy. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life and work of one of history's most influential thinkers. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.